Anu Nation is home to the Anu spiritual order founded by Chief Jegna Haru Yuya Asan Anu. Some of the components of Anu Nation are Anu Life Global Ministries, Enlightenment and Transformation, Sadulu House, and Osiris Life Spiritual Services. SaduluHouse.com is the school component of Anu Nation, where spiritual empowerment through education and training is emphasized. One way that is accomplished is through our monthly webinars. Our webinars are packed with foundational information, rituals, and live instruction to empower your spiritual work. At SaduluHouse.com, you can view our diverse list of topics for this year that range from meditation to sex magic. And you can also register for any of the webinars at your convenience, sign up for our introductory Orisha class, schedule a spiritual reading, and sign up for the Anu Spiritual Training course. Enlightenment and Transformation is the media component of Anu Nation. Here, you can view all of our archive shows from over the years to our current segments. They include Chief Speaks, Masterminds Monday, Anu Asafo, Thunderground Thursdays, and Foundational Fridays. You can also visit us on our YouTube channels. They are Enlightenment and Transformation, Orisha Yoruba, and Anu Nation. Osiris Life Spiritual Services is for those who are ready to take the necessary actions to bring your life into holistic balance. Here we offer consistent monthly one-on-one coaching, solutions that are tailored just for you, practical hands-on self-development techniques that will accompany your monthly readings, and customized practical strategies designed for you that guarantee positive results. Simply choose the package that best fits your needs. And last but not least, AlphaOmegaStore.com. The Alpha Omega Store is our online botanica where we offer divination tools, herbs and incense, DVDs, books, and other hard-to-find ritual items. You can also get our best-selling foundational book, Grasping the Root of Divine Power. Other great works from Anu Nation are Shrine and Altar, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, and Natural Hair for Young Women. All great books to assist you on your journey. To find out more on how to get involved with Anu Nation, visit our websites and YouTube channels and be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter.
Your dreams are your laboratory. They are your astral classroom. One of the real simple things that you could do before you go to bed at night is to repeat a question of what it is that you want to receive an answer for as you fall asleep. You repeat that one question over and over and over again. If you want to strengthen this, what you do is you take a candle, anoint it first in olive oil, and put it into a bowl of water and leave that near your bedside where you can see it. And you stare into it, and while you're staring into it, ask the question over and over again while you're falling asleep. And what happens is that you're now programming on the subconscious level what it is that what classroom we'll say that you're going to enter when you enter into that astral classroom. Now, if you know that the question is even directed at a particular cosmic energy, let's say an Orisha, one trick you can do is to burn a candle of that color and also sprinkle some of the herbs of that cosmic energy in the water inside of the bowl. And just keep staring into it as you're going to sleep. You can even repeat the name. So say if it's Ochosi you want to have a conversation with, as you're sleeping, just keep chanting Ochosi, 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 Ochosi. And repeatedly, if you do this, even night after night, you'll find that you can easily, sometimes even without the chant, go into whatever mode you desire to go into in your astral realm and get whatever answer you desire to get.
You are now in the realm of enlightenment and transformation.
Welcome to Chief Speaks. All music performed and produced by Yu.
Enlightenment comes from allowing yourself to journey through the dark shadow of death, the primordial abyss of wisdom's waters. For it is the treasures and mysteries that lie waiting in the dark that transform us and propel us to a new enlightened state. One should never aspire to live in the light nor the dark, but should journey between the two in order to evolve the overall reality into a self-actualized creation. Knowledge is your light, as wisdom is your darkness. The bold interplay of the two in your life leads you to an enlightened understanding of yourself and the inner verse you've created. Male is your enlightenment. Female is your transformation. Child is your evolution. Woman, accept the light into your darkness, so it may enlighten you. Man, go bring your light boldly into the darkness, so that it may transform you. Enlightenment and transformation.
I love you so much because you just don't know what you've just done for me. Thank you so much.
Wow. This is like the best call I've had in ages on BTR.
So this show was meant for me to be able to hear today, and I'm so thankful.
That's his home.
Therefore, now a new pathway has now been cut in order to get to the Almighty, where there may not have been one. So the communication with them, if they have enough power and strength to talk to us, the communication will be very
So that's one of the reasons I don't get into the current events thing too much, because it starts to become a perpetual alarm clock that we just keep hitting snooze on. I speak to the ascended masters, quote unquote. I talk about spiritual stuff, but I also speak about some very practical, we can do today things.
Be as natural as you can be with your spiritual. You can't always go by your feelings, because your feelings are corrupted. Your feelings are just as corrupted as everything else, your chakras and everything else. You got to know what's beyond you, and that's why we have elders. We can't do everything. You can't get everything out of books or weekend certification. You can have the most powerful, ancient, oldest, most, as far as you know, truthful tradition in your hands, and if you still have a dirty spirit, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're not going to learn anything. You're not actually going to grow. I try to teach in a way where I make myself obsolete. That's always been my goal, to make myself obsolete.
I really wanted to, kind of big you up. I think you're awesome.
There's a lot of elders out here right now that want to know what's going on. They're not getting on Twitter and stuff like that, but they want to be up on the new stuff. Sit down and have some conversations with them. It's not always about hearing their story. It's also about being news reporters for them and letting them know, like, yeah, this is what's happening right now. They may tell you something about what happened in Charleston that you couldn't even. Your spirituality has to create sane spiritual family. Okay, and that family exists first inside of you. You have to express the different expressions of that rainbow coalition of spirits inside of you first. Okay, don't let communities hijack that rainbow. See, the problem is when we come into the conscious community, the dudes are doing the same thing that the women are doing.
I just want to say that I really enjoy your show every Sunday, and my friend and I call it going to church. When we call in, we'll be like, you going to church? And I'm like, where have y'all been at?
God cannot go against its own truth. So anytime you have an inkling that God is going against its own truth, then God is no longer behaving as God. So therefore, the spiritual community doesn't recognize God. You dig where I'm coming from? Or can we have a new thought? Can we step outside of the books for a second and have a new conversation about hair weaves and wigs? Can we have a new conversation about homosexuality? Can we have a new conversation about vegan eating? We doing right. It's a good day for exorcism.
347-945-7680. Call in and let's build.
Welcome to Chief Speaks, everyone. I'm Kim, your co-host. Thank you for tuning in. As you know, each month with Chief Speaks, we have a theme. So the theme for February was on humility. So starting for March, we are going to talk about acceptance. Chief Yuya will be in a little bit later to give us the message for the strong on acceptance. And as usual, you're going to get a new perspective of the word. Sometimes we use a lot of these terms and we think that they're really simple terms. Like last month we were speaking on humility, And a lot of us have the wrong impression of what those words mean. And it's because society has, well, this culture and society has kind of programmed us into thinking that these words mean one thing when really they don't. And so sometimes we have to go back and break out our dictionaries and kind of look at where do these words come from? What are their origins? How are they used? And what are the real definitions of it? So we can start to shape our lives in a different way. So again, for this month, the message or all of our lessons are going to be centered around acceptance. So make sure you tune in, stay tuned to hear what Chief Yuya has to say about acceptance. But of course, before we get into the message, I want to go over some new announcements. And the first announcement I wanted to make is to remind you all to sign up for the Astral Travel webinar that's coming up on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You can go to saduluhouse.com/events to get registered. And there are a couple of advertisements there as well if you're really not that familiar about what astral travel is. And this is a topic that a lot of people kind of mistake as being new age, because you hear a lot of new agers, and I hate to use that term, but just so you know what I'm talking about, I'll use it. But you'll have a lot of new agers talk about astral traveling. And again, with terms, we sometimes mix up what the real meanings of those are, or don't understand the origins of where those concepts come from. So the same thing goes for astral travel. This is not a new term, and indigenous cultures have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. So make sure, if you're interested, that you sign up for astral travel so you can get a different perspective on it. And of course, like I said, you will get the new perspective as well as some history about, astral traveling, and we'll explore how that has changed and how it's been shaped over the years by different cultures and different religions. So again, you can go to saduluhouse.com/events to get registered for that. And that will be on Tuesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. And I want to go ahead and say that the webinars will not be repeated. They're not going to be aired again. I know we get a lot of emails in asking if we can, show them again, or if they're available somewhere else, whether we can email them to you or something, and they are not. We are developing books and courses behind each one, but those are going to take a minute. So if you're interested, you might want to go ahead and get signed up now, because they will not be repeated or shown again unless Chief Yuya decides to somewhere down the line. So again, saduluhouse.com/events, and you can register there. You can also see our entire list of webinars for the year of 2016, and you can go ahead and register for whichever class piques your interest. Okay. So before we get into the message this strong, we're going to take a quick break for a commercial, and I ask that you all please pay attention to the commercials, because we get a lot of emails about where do I go to sign up for readings, how do I sign up for your class, is your class online, is your class in person. We get a lot of questions that we do answer in these advertisements that we work so hard on, and a lot of times people just skip over them. So the websites and the commercials and everything are all there so that you don't have to call customer service and leave a message and wait for someone to get back to you to say, just sign up for the course online. So again, like the commercial has stated, if you want to sign up for classes or get readings, you can go to saduluhouse.com, just so you know, in case you do skip the commercial this time. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with Chief Yuya Asan Anu and the message for this strong. Thanks for tuning in. Anu Nation is home to the Anu spiritual order founded by Chief Jegna Haru Yuya Asan Anu. Some of the components of Anu Nation are Anu Life Global Ministries, Enlightenment and Transformation, Sadulu House, and Osiris Life Spiritual Services. SaduluHouse.com is the school component of Anu Nation, where spiritual empowerment through education and training is emphasized. One way that is accomplished is through our monthly webinars. Our webinars are packed with foundational information, rituals, and live instruction to empower your spiritual work. At SaduluHouse.com, you can view our diverse list of topics for this year that range from meditation to sex magic. And you can also register for any of the webinars at your convenience, sign up for our introductory Orisha class, schedule a spiritual reading, and sign up for the Anu Spiritual Training course. Enlightenment and Transformation is the media component of Anu Nation. Here, you can view all of our archived shows from over the years to our current segments. They include Chief Speaks, Masterminds Monday, Anu Asafo, Thunderground Thursdays, and Foundational Fridays. You can also visit us on our YouTube channels. They are Enlightenment and Transformation, Orisha Yoruba, and Anu Nation. Osiris Life Spiritual Services is for those who are ready to take the necessary actions to bring your life into holistic balance. Here we offer consistent monthly one-on-one coaching, solutions that are tailored just for you, practical hands-on self-development techniques that will accompany your monthly readings, and customized practical strategies designed for you that guarantee positive results. Simply choose the package that best fits your needs. And last but not least, AlphaOmegaStore.com. The Alpha Omega Store is our online botanica where we offer divination tools, herbs and incense, DVDs, books, and other hard-to-find ritual items. You can also get our best-selling foundational book, Grasping the Root of Divine Power. Other great works from Anu Nation are Shrine and Altar, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships, and Natural Hair for Young Women. All great books to assist you on your journey. To find out more on how to get involved with Anu Nation, visit our websites and YouTube channels and be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter.
Peace, and welcome everyone to another Chief Speak on Enlightenment and Transformation, as well as High Frequency Radio, as well as Enlightenment and Transformation TV on YouTube. I want to thank you all for tuning in and for being a part of this experience, as I always do, and I'm always grateful each and every time. And we're coming into our first segment for March of 2016. And of course, as you all know, those of you who've been listening frequently, you know that last month, February of 2016, we dealt with the sciences of humility. And in this month, we're going to be dealing with the sciences of acceptance. Okay? And of course, as in all things, there's a method, there's a progression, there's a logical and purposeful progression to all of the things that we've been speaking about. But I really wanted to get into some of the psychological aspects of what our spirituality entails. You know, again, like I've often said, a lot of times when we're delving into our deeper thought and our spirituality, sometimes we use it as an escape mechanism for the issues that we have inside that we're unable to deal with, or we just can't muster enough environmental control to create a space where we can actually sit down and deal with ourselves. So I like to really address those factors first, because if your mind isn't right, none of this stuff will make sense to you. None of this stuff will work. By this stuff, I mean the Orisha sciences, the metaphysics, the Kabbalistic sciences, Ifa, Voodoo, Wicca, magic, whatever it is that you're working with, and whatever it is that you're calling it. without having a balanced and ordered and properly arranged mind, it won't work, because the mind is the gateway that processes, recalls, and recreates your magical experiences. So if you're processing your magical experiences with the wrong perspective, then you're going to be recreating those experiences from the wrong perspective. So you're becoming from the wrong dimension, you see. So a proper and balanced and arranged mind is a dimension unto itself. And one that has a different type of arrangement is another dimension. Now, they all live within the same realm, so because of that, we may confuse one thought with the other. So if somebody says Orisha, and then another person says Orisha, because they're operating and functioning within the same realm of being, sometimes we confuse that with thinking that they're functioning on the same dimension, and it may not be the case. So by being able to come into a oneness of mind, of the right mind, we're able to function across a more equilateral plane, as opposed to functioning from a plane that has its equilibrium thrown off. Okay, so that's why a lot of you may have noticed that I've been really focusing in on the emotional and psychological aspects to our spiritual life. And just know that your emotions are spirit moving. Your psychology is the barometer or the gauge for the distance, or I should say the proximity of your spirit to your soul. Okay, so the further away your spirit is from your soul, the more disarranged and disordered your psychology will be. The more active your spirit, the more active your emotions. And that's not always necessarily a good thing, just so you know. We're looking for that balancing middle point. And that fulcrum, that balancing middle point is the gift of femininity. But we'll get into that. So I really wanted to deal with acceptance. And very similar to humility, a lot of times when we mention acceptance, we speak about really acquiescing to our current situation, or acquiescing to our current situation so that we can use that acquiescence as a definition of our circumstance. So, and we'll say that that's acceptance. And sometimes acceptance is just a passive and colorful way of acknowledging defeat. So really, when we're dealing with acceptance, I want to come to a couple of things first that may seem like it's off the path of what our subject is about, but it's not. And you'll see once we dive into it a little bit more its relevancy. And what I really wanted to speak about is repetitive history. And from a personal perspective, our own personal repetitive history, how we tend to live out certain situations consistently and continually and repetitiously, okay, hence repetitive history. And there's been a couple of conversations that I've had over the years where, you know, sometimes you're counseling and you're working with people, and it's very difficult for them sometimes to comprehend that they're not the only ones going through this situation, that perhaps what they're sharing with you is a commonly repeated scenario, you know, and there's really very little you can do to convince a person that you're not alone. I've seen this before. This is a common scenario. Don't feel like, you know, you just did something that no one else would ever think to do. It gets a little difficult, and especially when you're dealing with cultural issues that derive from your cultural or even your geographical investment. or your geographical environment or your cultural environment, and understanding that, well, across certain cultures, there's going to be a commonality of sicknesses. In the same instance, there may be a commonality of talents and gifts. So sometimes that's hard for people to see. That this is just a product of where I live. This is just a product of how I'm taught or how the people are where I live, So that's where we get some of this repetitive history that is hard to shake off because it begins to become the dysfunctional norm. We begin to say, well, that's just the way it is. That's just how it is. And we'll call that acceptance. People are just mean. People are just nasty. That's just how it is. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to help us. That's just how it is. And these dysfunctional norms, they begin to numb the spirit because the spirit doesn't function from that perspective. So when you start numbing your spirit and then you try to go into spiritual work, it doesn't work because your spirituality is mainly derived from your sensitivity to movement. You see, and when I say your spirituality, I don't mean the fact that you're having a spirit, but your use of your spiritual gift. You have to be able to feel and be sensitive to the fact that you have a gift and how that gift may have an effect on the spiritual environment. You see, so the numbing of the spirit takes that gift away. And the acceptance of the dysfunction, the acceptance of the reality birthed from the five century of somatic experience takes away that power, okay? So in all things, even when I'm dealing with students a lot of times, which sometimes is difficult, causes an issue sometimes, but I tend to speak to people where they'll be a lot and not necessarily where they are. And sometimes the only problem that gets caused is that they begin to delude themselves with a sense of arrival. But I like to speak to where they're going. I like to speak to that end product or that further down the road product that I sense and see, as opposed to maybe some of the instability that they may currently be experiencing or going through. I don't necessarily want to empower that on the long term. So with acceptance, we have to also accept our destiny, accept where we're going, and when you can accept your destiny and accept where you're going, the temporal experiences that you undergo, they won't scare you as much because you've accepted that you're going to go through some valleys and peaks in order to reach the final destination, you see. So with this, it kind of brings me to some topics covered in my book, Solutions for Dysfunctional Family Relationships. And I wanted to speak about where some of our early ideas of dysfunctional acceptance derive from. And this segment, I think, will be somewhat of a rough one for some of you. And then for others, it would just be enlightening. But I guess I can't really say there's ever a segment that I do that I feel like, oh, that was easy breezy. If I'm doing call-ins, maybe, because I'm allowing the spirit of the callers to kind of guide where we're going to a degree. But sometimes you got to talk about some stuff that, you know it's going to make people cry. You know it's going to make people cry. Or it's going to make people self-examine at a level where they may resent you, And as an instructor, as a chief, as a father, as a guide, as a pillar to my own cipher, you have to put yourself out there sometimes on the chopping block to have those conversations. And it's not an egotistical thing, like, I gotta be the one to say it. But when you're called to say it, you gotta be the one to say it. Okay, so what I really wanted to deal with was some of the relationship issues that we go through sometimes as a result of childhood transferring. So I'll give you a small example. Men and women, a lot of times, and many of us have friends like this, or we are this person, we find ourselves in relationships that tend to end with the same type of color and shade every time. You know, we find ourselves in these relationships where the individuals are very similar each time, and the form and manner in which the relationship closes down is very similar each time. And we ask ourselves, like, okay, how did I end up here again? How did I do this again? How did I let this type of individual creep into my life again after last time I swore that I would never put myself into that position again, or into that situation again? And if you don't know, I'm going to have to share with you that a lot of that comes from a misguided acceptance of some of your childhood experiences. So, for example, let's say if you had a parent who was abusive, or a parent who was aloof, you know, or a parent who wasn't nurturing, you know, a parent who was distant, or a parent who maybe just favored another child to the degree that it was like blatant. Because I mean, as parents, we have our favorites. You know, you can't really get around that. When they say you gotta love all your children equally, you can't do that. You know, love doesn't work that way. That's the beauty of it. You know, love is a force and a power that pulls opposites together and then creates elements after that. So sometimes it's the child that's most opposite from your own character that you just love to pieces even though they're a headache. And then it's that good one that's just like you that gets neglected. You know, the love is there, but it may not be as strong because the force, what would come together from you and that child would create more of the same thing. But the force that will come together with you and that child that is so much unlike you will create something new. And this is how new elements are created in the universe. In fact, now I didn't do the show yet. I'm going to do the show later. I was going to do a show on the Big Bang Theory and explain how Oshun was so present in the beginning in pulling forces together and then creating new forces. But we'll get to that. All right. I don't want to go off because this subject needs its own space. It doesn't need to get hijacked like sometimes I know I tend to do with other subjects. So again, we have this idea of possibly having a parent that for whatever reason, sometimes because of environmental factors, sometimes because of emotional environmental factors or inherent factors, a parent wasn't able to truly give what a child felt that they should have had or what a child in actuality needed. Okay? And sometimes, like I said, it's environmental. You may have a child that, you may have a parent that was incarcerated and they may have done 10, 15, 20 years in jail, prison. So the child feels like, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, I didn't get that. And the parent is trying, but because of environmental factors, there's only just so much they can do. Then you may have another parent who uses that as a weapon. And says, yeah, your so-and-so was here, but your so-and-so is here. Don't even start crying. Because, you know, you can't go to your so-and-so, you know, mother or father, either one. So now what happens, though, as that child feels this great intense hurt, this great intense despair, And most importantly in this scenario, this great and intense rage. They realize that these are feelings that they're unable to resolve and express. They can't come to a place of sanity with those feelings because they're in shock. And what they're experiencing from that parent, they're being told to some degree is their normalcy. But their spirit is not numb yet. So there's something inside of them that's like, this is wrong. Like, my parent is supposed to hug me sometimes. They're supposed to tell me that I'm protected and I'm cared for. Sometimes, you know, if I do well in school or do well at something, they're supposed to cheer me on. Sometimes, you know, they'll go through a list internally, and obviously media doesn't help. They'll look at TV and say, well, this parent is baking cookies, and this father is dressed up in a gorilla suit just to make the children laugh, and I don't have any of that, you know, and that creates a distortion of what should really be. But at their base and at their core, they know that they're missing something, you see. So what happens is that child then develops, that child matures, right? With still this unreconciled energy, this unreconciled set of emotions inside of them, this unreconciled anger, unreconciled sadness, unreconciled despair, and unreconciled longing for a covering, a nurturing, and a parent that never was there and never will show up. So what happens is, when they get into relationships, they choose people because most of the time, sad to say, what they feel like they're missing most or they most experience from that missing is from the parent of the opposite gender, the opposite sex. So the little girls want something from their father that they don't get. The little boys want something from their mother that they don't get. Because that is our first Oshun experience of opposites as children. You know, as little boys, we love our mothers. Our mothers are the prettiest girls in the world, prettiest women in the world, and their food is the best and all of that stuff, even if it isn't. And we just want to be with them. When they come home and we hear the key, we yell, "Mommy's home, Mommy's home," and we're running up to them. Of course, it could be, "What did you get for me?" You know. But that's our first experiences, and the same thing with the little girls with daddy. Baba's home, you know, or daddy's home, whatever you guys use, and they want to sit around you and pull the hairs out of your beard, you know, and pull tricks on you and stuff like that because they love you like that, you know. So a lot of times it's the parent, the complementary sex that they have the issues with. So again, like I said, we fast forward, and we find the same child now 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they're unable to maintain relationships. And what they find is they consistently choose mates that present the same type of deficit and dysfunction that they experienced in their childhood. See, so a woman will conjoin with a man who's distant, who's abusive, who's aloof. A man will conjoin with a woman who's disrespectful, who's sneaky, who's arrogant, who's unloving, who's uncaring. You know, it just goes through the list, right? Because inwardly, what they're trying to do is still win that parent over. And the parent could be deceased. But they still have this thought, this childish, and it is childish. They have this childish thought that if I'm funnier, if I'm more giving, if I'm kinder, if I achieve more, that this parent will finally love me. This parent will finally give me this love and affection that it never did. And even when it's unable to still try that with the parent, it will try that with different mates going forward. Some will even attempt that with their friends. You know, they'll become everything that they think that that individual desires in order to be accepted. And that desire and that craving for that kind of acceptance comes from childhood. It comes from the acceptance that they didn't feel from their parental figure. You see, and they have yet to accept and acknowledge the true nature of the trauma that they felt as children, or that they experienced as children. They have yet to actually come to grips with that and say, you know, this is what happened to me. It wasn't natural. Even if it's the norm, if I lived on a block with 6 houses and every other child in my neighborhood experienced the same thing, I don't have to accept that as being natural. And I can even tell that parent that what you did was not natural. What you did distorted my rearing. It distorted my formation into an adult. It may have been the norm. It may have been your norm. It may have been your parents' norm and their parents' norm. But my spirit in its rebellious state let me know that it wasn't natural. And I have some healing that I have to do as a result. And I don't have to just accept that because that's what you offer. And you tell me this is how it is. So, going forward in your relationships a lot of times, you end up repeating the same things, the same scenarios, the same pain, the same heartache, because you've become accustomed to trying to win someone over in those particular areas. So if you're a man and your mother wasn't nurturing, she didn't put the band-aids on you when you fell. When you were heartbroken, she didn't say anything. She just walked by you. You know, when you achieved, she didn't say, "Good job, son," and give you all that extra mother loving, and they say, "All right, my dad, come on." You know, she didn't do any of that stuff. You find that going forward, those are the women that you seek out, the ones that are not nurturing. And there's a part of you that says, "Oh, it's okay that they're like that because I'm used to dealing with that." You know, especially as healers, that's something that we have to be very careful about, because we tend to have a higher tolerance of pain than the average person. So we can undergo all kinds of abuse on an unnatural level, but it's abuse nonetheless, and you're numbing yourself. So we'll deal with certain clients that are just a headache, and we'll say, "Oh, listen, I grew up with crazy. It's okay. I'm used to crazy. My grandfather was crazy. My auntie was crazy. My cousins were crazy. My big sister was on medication. It's okay. I'm used to dealing with it." You see? And we almost seek out those situations. Now, in the same instance with a woman, you may have had a father who was abusive, who was frustrated with himself, frustrated with his lack of progress in the world. So he needed something to dominate. He needed to feel like he had the power to create and destroy something. So he established that within his family, amongst the smaller of the prize. So as you move forward, you find men who are the same way, who are frustrated, who are not unleashed in their manhood, who are not comfortable with their feelings, who are not in touch with their feelings. And they take that out on you. And there's a part of you that knows what I deserve, because I look for it, you see, because you're still trying to be perfect. You say, "Well, it's his fault that he threw me out the window and I had to climb back in through the basement trapdoor. That was his fault. That was his fault. Because I didn't do this. So he told me stop using abrasive cleaners on the countertop. He spent a lot of money for the countertop, and I should just be using liquid cleaner. And that was my fault. That was my fault." So you kind of go through that thing like that, and you keep saying, "If I can be that perfect wife, if I could just be that perfect girlfriend, if I could be more interesting, if I could not get upset when he cheats on me," or whatever it is, then I will finally win him over and I will have the love and acceptance that I've been craving all my life. It doesn't work that way. It never does. And you then have this fixed cycle of repetitive history. You know, where you have this history that you've experienced as a child that you keep repeating because of what you're seeking and desiring and not accepting. Amen. This is what happened. You know, I was speaking to a student the other morning, and she was talking about her family. And you know, she was talking about how she grew up and the fact that her father had two different families. And she said, you know, my mother was neglected. You know, my father had two different families, but he used to bring the children together to meet each other. But he was with this woman and with my mother, but he ended up moving this other woman into his home, and not my mother. And I said, maybe your mother was a pain in the ASS. You ever consider that? And she got quiet. She was like, and she kind of thought, and I said, maybe she was just a big ball of negativity and he didn't want to be around her. And he was like, you know what, she was very negative and kind of miserable, but we just attributed that to the situation with my father. And I said, maybe she was always like that. And he didn't feel like being around her, and the other woman was just a nicer person to be around. And I wasn't saying that to vindicate her father, but I was saying that because sometimes our perception, most of the time, is not actually the truth. So the perception is he just neglected my mother. Maybe your mother was neglectful, and he just decided he wasn't taking that anymore, and went and got himself another woman because he can't. But he still took care of his children. He still made sure his children knew each other, and he didn't hide the other. So there's more to that story, you know. So having that perception of the history, even for her, created a certain warped misunderstanding as to how male-female relationships work, how the minds of men work, and how the minds of women work, because there wasn't real clarity on that. So accepting the trauma of what is also requires an objective acceptance. You know, it can't be so subjective where it's just one-sided, and then you have to kind of trace back. You got to source back and even think about when your opinions are one-sided, is that a product of that same history? You see, saying, oh, my mother was neglected. Do you feel that way because of the misery that you saw your mother in? And obviously misery loves company. So she may have taught you certain things. Yes, this is how the world is. This is how men treat you. The world is a horrible place. And then in yourself, you said, see, look how men are. And then you grow up with that. And then you repeat that history because that's just how men are. You see? Now, because it's more than what I'm sharing right now. On the spiritual and metaphysical and energetic level, this is where you get this concept of Oya. Oya. Oya being the hurt, scorn, and jilted lover. All of this is true. But there's a reason that she is so. Okay, I was sharing that with a student last night and this morning. About Oya, and I said it when I did the Oya show. I said she is a very complex energy that most people don't even scratch the surface of understanding. They don't even scratch the surface of who and what Oya is. You know, like I gave the example. Like, well, let's take it from Oba for a second. Her sister wife. Because Oya has a similar quality. Oba was given the tools of warfare from Ogun. That was a buddy. So she was like, Ogun, teach me stuff. Right? So Ogun carved
some daggers for her, sis. And Ogun also gave her an anvil. However, all of Oba's tools are made of wood. All of Oba's weapons are made of wood. Right? So in our misconception, we'll say, Oba's a fierce warrior. She's a fierce warrior. She's that. Right? And without really understanding that, she's not a fierce warrior like Ogun is a fierce warrior, or like Shango is a fierce warrior, or like Eshu is a fierce warrior, or even like Oshosi is a fierce warrior, or Oranga is a fierce warrior. She's a different type of warrior. What kind of warrior would have wooden weapons, right? A peaceful warrior. So where Ogun is the first warrior of blood, as we call him, energies like Oba and Oya are warriors of peace. Oya, as you also know, will receive 2 swords from Ogun. But the Makaki tell us that those swords are rusty, and they're not very sharp. They're dull. And most people don't explain that. They just say, yeah, or if they even bring it up, a lot of times they skip over it because, like, I don't know, they just keep going. Keep going, go to the next part, you know. But in similar fashion, the reason that this is because Oya is a peaceful warrior. Everybody has this image of Oya that she comes through with the sword, and she has a sword, and she's coming with the tornadoes, and she's you know, and she's about to just tear stuff up. That's Ogun. And really that's Shango, because Ogun just like kills you. You know, I'm gonna go finish my palm wine. His heartbeat doesn't raise. The Hannibal Lecter type. Shango is the one that gets amped. You know, he's the one that gets excited and gets angry and all that other stuff. Ogun is the patient one. You know, it says, well, you know, I gotta kill you. You're gonna die. But this is just the way of things. Oya is a fierce warrior, but she's a non-violent warrior, like Oba. I've said many times, in all that you do, approach it as a warrior. I don't give you a chef. I don't care. There's a sister I know who does puppet shows. Be a warrior puppeteer. Puppeteer Mao. You know, the word Mao is warrior. Be a puppeteer Mao. You know, be a chef Mao. You know, whatever you do, in this day and time, you have to have that warrior aspect to it. But it doesn't mean that you have to be angry. It doesn't mean that you have to be overexcited. It doesn't mean that you have to hurt people. Peace and the striving and the constant working towards peace is a form of warfare. That's why Oya's weapon is a dog and Oba has a wooden weapon. Notice that they're both feminine energy. Because what type of society would send a woman out front with a sharp weapon? And many people have said to me before, and even a student this morning, she said, oh, but I thought in war, Oya leads the charge and then Shango comes behind her. Nah, that doesn't even make sense. You have to think about that for a second. So I said, when we're dealing with the electrical charge, there's an aspect to that, but it's not that she's leading the charge in the attack. She's pointing, because she's the wind behind Shango's fire. There's a difference. You know, she's able to really interact with the male nature in a way that many of the other creatures can't. Part of her complexity. And you have a lot of feminine who take that Oya energy as their banner because they don't understand. There's no feminism in Ifa. There's no feminism in Orisha studies. There's no feminism in African spirituality. You have male principle, you have female principle, and you have understanding. But as far as this whole, we've been dominated by the men, now that may be somebody else's story, but it's not our story. Chuck that out. It's not us. When you even study the Igba Odu. The Igba Odu is the calabash. You know, Igba is calabash. You know what Odu is by now, right? Boom, chocolate point. Odu is the sacred container of wisdom. Olodumare, as given to us by Ifa, as given to us by Lumi. The Odu contain the Ifa. So, when you study the sciences of the Igba Odu, the calabash, you'll see that, no, this is not a fight between masculine and feminine. This is Oshun working to make sure the complementary join and connect in order to build more elements. And there's an acceptance of the differences so that way we can build. The Oya aspect in that whole creative science, this is where we're getting back to acceptance. You probably thought I went left or right, but I did. The Oya aspect is the acceptance of the change. Accepting that one thing is going to be something for a while, and then it's going to join with something that is a complement or the opposite. That's for sure. And when it does that, it's going to be a new thing, and it may even take the place of the old thing. Because Oya mainly deals with the supplanting of power, meaning you had it, now you got it, now you got it, now you got it. You get hot potato type thing. But power is moved around. You know, it's not like they say, oh, it's a destroyer of paradigm. And that's not necessarily the Shitorit aspect. I have taught that Shitorit aspect, Oya means, you know, Itor or Shitor or to rip something. It also means like the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of endings. That's why in our tradition, not even our tradition, in the Yoruba language, Ya is used like like what was said to me when I was a child, you know, by my old earth. She used to say in the dawning, get a speed on before you get peed on. You know, rise and shine, get a speed on before you get peed on. You know, meaning, move your behind, hurry up. The school bus is coming. You know, it's time to go. So, Ya is a similar expression to loosely translate it. Some things don't translate as well as, you know, as we would think. But Ya means that time is up. Your time is up. So it's time to move. So sometimes you'll hear Oyati, you know, or, I'm sorry, Otiya. It's time now, you know, in Yoruba. Like, let's go. The taxi's outside, the Chotro. I hear the Chotro, let's go. So you have the Oya, then you have the Oya. A lot of people don't understand, but you'll understand after the show. It's actually two different words. I've correlated them together in the past because it works. When you deal with time and the exploration of things and the responsibility of Oya to the Egun, it makes sense. You know, being that carrier of that changing energy, just like you have in the beginning of creation. There was a changing energy and it needed a carrier to supplant it, to move it, like how you take a plant out of a pot and put it into another pot. Oya would be that gardener, putting it from pot to pot, you see. So it fits. But our dear Orisha Yansen, mother of nine, it's not Oya, she's Oya. So it's a little different. You know, and like I said, Yansen, we call her Yansen. What is Yansen? Ya, Ishan, mother, Ya, or Ye, Ya, mother, and of nine, right? And, you know, the nine are the four sets of Gege, and then Iku, which is the ninth child, death. Iku is death. Some people think that Oya is death, but Oya is not death. Her child Iku is death, right? And you have Abi, which is children who die. Children who die. I don't want to say prematurely or because they die when they're supposed to die. The children, but they're still children. They're young children who die. But you know, like we call her Mother of Nine because in early times, in those old times, you know, we acknowledge the 9 tributaries of, you know, the Niger River. Remember, the Oya is the Niger River. You know, pronounce that however you want. It's fine. And that river, it has more than 9 tributaries now, but it had 9 tributaries at that time, and those were the children, as we said, But that supplanting and that moving of power is something that needs to be accepted. So in the same instance, when you have these childhood traumatic experiences that you are still giving power to, and you have not accepted that in this season, in this moment, that you hold the power. The transference of the energy and the transference of the power is expected to go from one adult to the next. What was the first adult? Your mother, your father. Who was the next one? You or your mate. And sometimes we have so much power. We have so much problems with that. You know, like we have mommy issues. So we marry or we date and we're conjoined with someone, and we won't give that individual power over taking care of us because we still want mommy to do it. You know, so mommy comes by, move out the way, move out the way. He doesn't drink that, he doesn't eat that, he's sick. Oh, let me feel his head. You know, all that stuff like that. Because we haven't allowed Oya to properly transform and change the situation. We haven't accepted the change that's there. So now we're running on the fumes of something that is becoming further and further distorted because we haven't reconciled something from our childhood. So we're still hoping to be some sort of child that our mother will say, okay, I love you now. And the same thing goes with our fathers. You know, you'll have 30, 40-year-old women say, I'm a daddy's girl. Okay, well, you know, I had to tell that many years ago, before I was initiated to Ifa. There was a Babalawo who was moving in on my consort. So he was trying to minimize my presence. And he would always get upset because she would listen to me. And he would say, see, you listen to everything he says. And one day we were there and he was saying that, and he was saying, you know, he thought I didn't know she told him. He told her. And he was like, see, this is what I've been talking about. And he said, I'm the Baba. And he kept saying, I'm the Baba. And I just looked at him and I said, yeah, you're the Baba. You're Baba. But I'm daddy. You know. So, enough said. Yeah. So, you know, that transferring of that responsibility and that role, which has a responsibility to it, the responsibility and power. No different than when individuals my age become the nana, or the nana, or become just the elders of the community. You see, the abon of the community. There's a responsibility, there's a transference of power, you know, and there's always a balancing in that because of who you're checking with. You know, very similar again to this idea, like, of just the thwarted roles of sexuality in our tradition. When you look at the Ajay, so many women, they celebrate the Ajay, they celebrate the Iyami, they celebrate the witches. The truth is, the witches actually serve the spirit of air. That's why we talk about Awonagegi, which is the owner of the bird. And the reason that the birds are so revered is because they're the messengers who have received the deposit of Ajay energy, of witch energy. So we say the birds are also the witches. But they venerate the spirit of air. Ade. That's a masculine energy. They venerate men. Male, well no, before men, male principles. But men too. Because remember, everything trickles down into the solid. You know, even when you look at Greek and Roman mythology, it's not even mythology, but you have like the oracles of Delphi. And you know, those were all women, you know, who served as those oracles. But they were speaking to a male god. What they were doing was delivering information from one of the male gods to the people. So you see the balance. Now, I mentioned this in one of the humility shows. We have the Ogboni Society. Ogboni. And the Ogboni Society reveres the earth. Like the Ade and the Iyami venerate and serve air, male principle, the Ogboni venerate and serve Onile, female. That is their head deity is female. And for the Iyami, their head deity is male. There is no feminism here. Look elsewhere. And there is no masochism or misogyny from the male perspective here as well. There is masculine, feminine, and energy, understanding and acceptance of our role. So I wanted to share that information on where we come from sometimes in our childhood and how it affects how we perceive and relate to the world afterwards. And I wanted to share how that related to the Oya energy. Oya is the government of that change. And if we can't accept change or accept what has been and understand that in order for us to grow, we have to change. In order for us to change, we have to grow. They go hand in hand. You can't dismiss one and have the other. That change and that growth is a product of us accepting Oya. And when we can't accept that, our Oya is out of balance. And if your Oya is out of balance, your Shango has no power. And if your Shango has no power, who's running the kingdom? You might say, well, Basala doesn't touch the earth. Shango does. That's why he's got the red. He sacrificed himself, took on a body of flesh, and came down to the earth in order to serve. And then eventually killed himself, suicidal, and was revered back in heaven. Oh, wait a minute. I just told the Jesus story. My bad. Let me stop playing. But, look it up. So, yeah, this whole idea, again, of blocking and dodging from what needs to be accepted, just creates a perversion in all of our relationships going forward. And it creates a craving and a longing that will never be fulfilled. You know, you can't go back and make your mother be a better mother. You can't go back and make your father be a better father. And you can't make every potential mate or spouse that you meet responsible for what you didn't receive in your childhood. You know, and if they have deficits themselves that mirror what you did not receive in your childhood, there's nothing that you can do now to redeem that thwarted childhood. You know, and at some point you're going to have to recognize that what occurred was not a product of your behavior, a product of your character, but was environmental and cultural and social as to why maybe your parents were abusive or why they were neglectful or why they were aloof or why they were distant. You could have been a rotten child. That's always a possibility too. And you can accept that and then move forward from it. Some children you don't want to be around. They just are. But there's never a parent that doesn't try first. A good parent will try usually well up into the late teens before they say, okay, you know what? It is what it is. And they have to accept. I created maybe a monster. It is what it is. Okay? So just give that some thought as we go through this month and dealing with this concept of acceptance, I also want to give my appreciative love to the students who held down the end of the month open panel. They did a masterful job. I was so proud of them, and my pride not just comes from their inherent intellect, but because I know their journey. I know where they've come from. I know where they're going. And as they were taking in calls and able to field those calls, some of the questions that were asked, some of the scenarios posed to them, I remember when they were asking those questions of me. You know, so I was just so very proud to listen in on that and to witness them serving. As you all know, that's my big thing. You know, you want kudos with me, you gotta give. All the accolades and the whatever, okay. What have you done for your people? You know, what have you done for the world? That's what makes me, you know, look and say, do that. You know, on every level, you know, your service. And when that's non-existent, you're kind of blurry. You're blurry to me, you know. So they came in real sharp. And, you know, I just appreciate what they did. And one of them brought up what I said before about working to make myself obsolete. And they encouraged me that one day that will be a possibility, that I can just go walk off into the desert to die, or walk off into the forest and die amongst the trees that I like. And this will keep moving. I knew Life Global Ministries will keep pushing forward and doing the style of work that we do. It's our own character, our own color, our own style. And not to take away from anybody else, we all have our own character, style, and color. And the I Knew Life, we have a way that we present it. And we present Orisha, that we present Necharu, you know, that we present Establishment, and that whole in Egum, that whole experience. And I'm always looking for those who typify and epitomize what it is that we're doing here. Because as I'm concerned, and as I see it, this is the solution. What we're doing here has a solution. You can go through all the show titles, and you'll see solution after solution. You know, so many things have been covered, from money to family, initiation, working with spirit, rituals, ancestors, karma, confidence, self-esteem. It's all there, you know. So it's here. It's here for you. All right? But I want to thank you for listening in and for being with me at this time for Chief Speaks, and for bringing in the month of March with this idea of accepting and this vibration of Oya, the harbinger of death. And we just came out of the Harmattan season. You know, as many of you know, in West Africa, you have the Harmattan, where it's dry season and it's cold as well. And during that season, a lot of things die. And that actually happens to be Oya season, Scorpio, Oya. And all the death comes through, and it gets very windy. And in the wind, you have like very dry, small microscopic dust particles and sand particles, as you guys can probably hear the water again. You know, I'm where I am. And those small microscopic particles, they kill insects. So, you know, you don't really get too many mosquitoes around that season. But people get really sick too because of the drop in the weather and everything. But that's Oya, bringing that wind. She's always the movement and the change of things. In fact, her Odu, Osa Meji, and I wrote this down, I think, when I did the show on Osayi. Osa itself alludes to waves, the ebb and flow of waves. So you begin to realize that, yeah, Oya is a water deity, but she's actually the wind inside of the water that makes current, that makes the waves and currents. So, yeah, you know, the Orisha shows that I've done, I have a lot more. And we have and I have some more things. I gotta keep in mind, but too much craziness. Even when I listen to the show, some of the callers, I'm still hearing, like, it was a show on humility, but there was a lack of humility. So, and I'm just gonna say some, so if you don't know which one we're talking about, it's might have been one. But if somebody takes the time to explain something to you, just be quiet, listen to the answer, say thank you, get off the phone. Nobody needs to hear how much you already knew. You know? See, that's why it's good I'm not doing all the phone calls. You guys know that's what I would do. What are you talking about? You know? And that happens a lot when you're trying to work with people and you're helping them and I just talking like, that's right. I had to help an elder this morning to do some rituals at the water. And she said, well, we gotta do chicken first. I said, well, I have to do that. She said, yes, we do. And this is someone coming to me for help and for some understanding. I said, no, you don't. She said, well, last time I was here and I had to do this, I had to get a chicken. I said, yeah, but that doesn't mean that we have to give one now. And I'm the Baba. No, I'm playing. I didn't say that. But I'm teaching you know? So I had to explain a little bit why she had to give a chicken, which was because she wasn't doing what she was supposed to do spiritually anyway. So yeah, now you got to catch up. You shouldn't have to give a chicken. You could have gave of yourself. You could have gave your own word. They should have been powerful. But this individual who I was working with at the time, I work with her. She's my student. She's good. She doesn't need to give the blood. You know, so sometimes we lose sight of just our place. And I think that the students did a masterful job at explaining now. You know, like Sister Ty said, she just came back from Ghana. And she was there and she saw some things that really taught her how a chief is received, treated. And it kind of opened her eyes to some things, you know. So whether you're in Nigeria, Ghana, or anywhere, there's a lot that you can learn as to how we really are supposed to be dealing with each other, you know. But yeah, so they did a great job. They did a great job. All right. So that is it. That is our Chief Speaks. At least my part. And I want to thank you all for listening. And I will speak to you all soon, next show. All right? Until such time, Hotep.
All right. Thank you, Chief Yuya, for your insight on acceptance and your lessons on acceptance this strong. And thank you all for tuning in to Chief Speaks. Before we go, I just wanted to share something. Just listening to that lesson, I was kind of inspired. Well, not inspired, but something, you know, I had a light bulb moment, I guess you could say. And it was about initiations and just this whole process that we have kind of mixed up or that we don't really understand. And I think that this is the part of the training and of the medicine that Chief gives that a lot of people can't take. And it's just that I don't think we understand that before we can get to all the magic and the rituals and making all this stuff happen, we got to clear out a lot of crap in our lives. And it's just because we were not reared properly. We've got a lot of damage from a lot of things. We've got a lot of dysfunction to clear up. And these things aren't fun to sort through. You know, we don't have the luxury of kind of playing around with this stuff anymore, you know, if we really want to make some things happen. And so just that segment on acceptance and accepting some of our limitations, not accepting some of the crap that was given to us by, you know, that was passed down to us through our, you know, family members and in our environment, is part of that stripping away that we have to do before we can get to the initiations and things, because those initiations are rites of passage and they bring us to a place of maturity. And so if we haven't cleaned up a lot of that stuff, going and having an initiation or something done, it's just going to magnify those problems and issues that we have, times 10 or, whatever. It's just going to magnify them. It's going to make them even bigger. And then we'll have more stuff to try to clear up on, later down the road. So a lot of this stuff, this is the part that's just not so fun. And that, again, that's what the first phase of the training is about. Ministries to self, trying to clear away some of that crap, all the stuff that, we let lay dormant for so long in our lives, And I just want to say thank you to Chief, because, wow, I mean, I told him once that, he really is Baba Haru, because essentially that's what he's doing. We're supposed to be doing this work with children. And really what's going on is he's bringing the adults into adulthood, so to speak. We're adults now, physically, but we miss so much, growing up in such a dysfunctional culture. And so I just want everyone to kind of really think about that before you go to get initiated and everything. Initiations are rites of passage. And so when you're paying someone for, an initiation, especially some people that you don't even know, what exactly are you paying for? Because you're not being raised in that community. You're not being raised in that culture. So what exactly just happened? What did you just pay for? What did you just, usher yourself into? Nothing has been done. You really just essentially paid for a ceremony, or just paid to be a part of a play or something, and I think the initiators know this, they know that this is not how things are done. So I just want you all to think about that. It crossed my mind, and it, like I said, I had this light bulb moment, and I've thought about it before, but it's the more I learn through the Anu training, these things are just becoming so crystal clear for me. So with that, I just want to remind you all to sign up for the astral projection webinar that's coming up on Tuesday. Remember to go to saduluhouse.com/events. And thank you for tuning in this strong. We'll be back next Sunday with another enlightening segment. Peace.
Your dreams are your laboratory. They are your astral classroom. One of the real simple things that you could do before you go to bed at night is to repeat a question of what it is that you want to receive an answer for as you fall asleep. You repeat that one question over and over and over again. If you want to strengthen this, what you do is you take a candle, anoint it first in olive oil, and put it into a bowl of water and leave that near your bedside where you can see it. And you stare into it, and while you're staring into it, ask the question over and over again while you're falling asleep. And what happens is that you're now programming on the subconscious level what it is that what classroom we'll say that you're going to enter when you enter into that astral classroom. Now, if you know that the question is even directed at a particular cosmic energy, let's say an Orisha, one trick you can do is to burn a candle of that color and also sprinkle some of the herbs of that cosmic energy in the water inside of the bowl. And just keep staring into it as you're going to sleep. You can even repeat the name. So say if it's Ochosi you want to have a conversation with, as you're sleeping, just keep chanting Ochosi, 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 Ochosi. And repeatedly, if you do this, even night after night, you'll find that you can easily, sometimes even without the chant, go into whatever mode you desire to go into in your astral realm and get whatever answer you desire to get.
Sadulu House Spiritual Center would like to invite you to join our learning community by encouraging you to sign up for our monthly webinars. Our webinars offer live interactive instruction designed to help empower you in your spiritual evolution and ritual work. The webinars we provide are purposed to help you dive deeper into the concepts and calculations of the Chief Jegna of Anu Nation, Heru Yuya Asan Anu, through the decoding and exploration of sound, symbol, ancient and contemporary text, and various other tools used to invoke a state of highest awareness. We are able to abandon the constrictions of dead thought to travel to higher states of awareness, which is our rightful designation. To view our list of webinars, go to saduluhouse.com/events. Topics for 2016 include meditation, spiritual cleansing, astral projection, chakras, crystals, water magic, candle magic, the third eye, animal totems, dreams, and sex magic. Remember, go to saduluhouse.com/events to register.